Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Good evening, my friends. We are live over at drroto.com. It is Any Given Entry. I am Johnny Danger. Joining me from drroto.com as well, Trustin, Trevor, and of course our friend Justin at Just DFS. The inspiration for this show, the man who kicks our butt on a weekly basis in the DFS league, has won 3 straight years. I actually was inspired to do this show just to take his mojo from him, and I think it's starting to work. I'm not going to lie, Justin.
I can't lie either. It definitely feels that way. I've had just some of the roughest weeks as far as that contest goes and fallen from grace. But as I said to my brother before, heavy is the head that wears the crown. So,
yeah, it's tough to have that target on your back, Trevor. You know how that feels.
Yeah, I know how that feels. But, we're going back to our contest. I didn't put in a lineup last week. I thought for sure. I thought I did, and I must have. I was looking to see where I was scored. I would have sucked anyway because I was going to put Shadur in because I'm so far behind. I was really going to go for the big shot in the dark, but
yeah. But I tell you what, Trevor, it was a very low-scoring week, and your replacement score for it was like a top 15 score. So it didn't hurt you, but now you don't have the grace period of missing another one.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I usually don't miss them. You
Yeah.
were on a vacation. You couldn't even tell me I was missing my lineup.
Nope, I didn't have any internet. Couldn't do it. Couldn't help you. Anyways, let's get into it, my friends. I did okay last week. I scraped by about an even week, which is fine by me. Any victories for you two last week?
no victories for me. I think I picked the worst quarterback I could have picked from my sheet. None of my receivers didn't really do great. I played in Jigba, which obviously was very terrible in hindsight. So no victories last week for me.
I had a sweat in the showdown. I was in 5th place in that 100,000 when I took on. I was in 5th place for a long time, winning like 4,000 or 5,000. Then it just petered out at the end. But I didn't do good on the week because I had a lot of Jackson Smith and Jigba last week myself. I thought he was just going to torch the Vikings, and with how bad my Vikings were, they didn't need him.
Didn't need him at all. Didn't need him one bit. It absolutely crushed some people getting eliminated from playoffs. I heard a bunch of people complaining. Bad week for fantasy people when JSN does no good. Well, let's pull up this sheet, and we'll see if JSN made it back in a bounce back. I expected that he would. He is there, but we're not going to get to the wide receivers yet. We're going to start with quarterbacks because it's what we've been doing. I did turn in my article earlier at drroto.com, my DFS ownership chalk avoidance article. I don't really know what to call it. Josh Allen made the list. Chalk or not, I believe he's literally the only one on the slate that can score 40 points. 7,700 is still a good price for a top-end quarterback. They're not pushing the limit too hard, and I'm all about it. I mean, it's either him or value for me. Trevor, what do you think of Josh Allen?
Yeah, he's the guy that he pops off the sheet right when you see it. When the lines come out Sunday night, I'm right on top of it, and Josh Allen just screams at you to play me. He's the guy that's going to could get the 30 to 40 points. He's the most likely to break the slate at quarterback position, and great player. The only problem with him is his price. There's so many other high price guys I want, but I think we can fill a couple lineups with him as quarterback and pay down at other places.
I think we could. And Justin, really the only thing that stops Josh Allen is when James Cook runs it in instead of him. But Josh Allen is literally the most likely guy to have 4 touchdowns every single week, whether it be passing, rushing, all together. I got to play him. If I'm not playing him, I'm probably dipping into the 4,000s. I'm not going to lie, sir.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Josh Allen has been around the top in my sheet, but never as blatant as he is this week for me. A lot of the guys at the top of the sheet, I actually have more quarterbacks here than I normally do. And it's just because it's so muddy. And you're right, it's 7,700 for Josh Allen or going all the way down to Tyler Shuck with all these guys sprinkled in between. I was debating what to do, how to list it out. So I had to put more than normal because it is muddy. And wasn't really sure which way to go. They all have decent projections in reasonable spots, but there's a standout up top with Josh Allen and a money saver down low with Tyler.
No, it really is, sir. It really is. I don't mind. I mean, obviously, Lamar can handle a slate. Jaden Daniels back. I think I don't know what that will do, Trevor. Sometimes you're more on the nose with ownership, than I am. Jaden Daniels' first game back, does that inspire more to play him or inspire more to sit and wait? Where are you at with Daniel?
I'm sitting and waiting because I think the Vikings are going to kill Washington tomorrow. So I think the Vikings bury him. So I don't have no love for Jaden Daniels whatsoever.
I mean, listen, man, I love your enthusiasm, but I don't think that the Minnesota has a quarterback that's able to kill anything right now. A victory, I could see it because Washington is not good, but also Minnesota is really bad. So I don't know what to say for this one. I might go watch this game with my dad just for emotional support for him. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I just think the Vikings defense is going to be all over them. I like the Vikings defense. The Vikings defense isn't at fault for their last 2 losses. I mean, they've been on the field a ton. I think Minnesota offense will do. I'm not saying they're going to be a great offense tomorrow, but I think they're going to be pretty decent, and I think they're going to win the game by 10 points.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is where I'm at, guys. If you can play players against Cincinnati, I'm in. So I'm with Josh Allen. I also think that an easy pivot is the other side. I mean, Joe Burrow in a game they're going to have to try to keep up with. I mean, because that's how Cincinnati plays. They give up 40 points a game, so they got to score if they want to win. No love for Joe Burrow, Justin, or is he just off the list?
He's actually not just off the list. He's more than halfway down. And I think a lot of that has to do with, yes, they will be playing catch up, and they do have like a little over 3-score team total. But they don't give it up to fantasy points, at least. They don't give it up to quarterbacks. So his matchup and projection just bumps him down, especially when combined with his price as well. 6,500 is not cheap. It's the, 1, 2, 3, 4th most expensive quarterback on the slate. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a GPP play for me. Trevor, I'm looking at the optimal scoring over at DFS Hero, which is the percentage of time they're in the winning lineup in the simulations. And Burrow's like number 15. They don't like him either. But he is like the 6th or 7th most ceiling points projected. And at 2.5% ownership in big GPPs, is that a risk you're going to take in your 150 lineups?
I'll play him in a few lineups, but he's not the guy I'm searching. To beat the Buffalo Bills, you want to run the football. And I think they're going to try to run it as much as they can, as long as they stay close enough with Chase Brown and even some P. Ryan. So the Bills, they seem to cover the pass a lot better than they do the run. So
I can agree. Now, Jacoby Brissett, I made mention in my article, they just named him during the week the starter for the rest of the year. They're going to keep Kyler Murray out. I think that's because they want Kyler Murray to recover enough that they can get rid of him in the offseason and don't want to risk getting him hurt again. I think we've seen the last of Kyler Murray. I don't know if Brissett will earn the job next year for the Cardinals, but he certainly is playing for his next contract. And I like that. And he's been paying off every single week. I think 5 out of the last 6 weeks, he has 4x'd his salary or come close to it 3.5 times. So I like Brissett. My feelings on Trevor Lawrence. I'm not a fan, but if you say it's a good play, Justin, I'll believe you.
Yeah, I mean, there was a quandary last week, and I mean, I'm not a huge fan of him either, but he just seems to be consistent and get it done. He's had, over 20 points 3 out of the last 5, $5,400. You don't need nothing that crazy. Just all depends on where you're trying to spend quarterback wise.
No, I can see that. Tyler Shuck, he pops up in my sims. And there's a couple other guys. Let's see who the cheap guys I was looking at. Actually, I think somebody's going overlooked here. I think Bo Nix has a chance to have a pretty good game. He's relatively cheap. And for me, the other guy that's super cheap, Tyrod Taylor. I actually think he's got a great matchup. He's 4,900. So for me, it's probably Josh Allen or Tyrod Taylor, or if I'm trying to mix up my lineups to make a little different, it's Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, I mean, with Brissett, he's not scored under 20 in any game. He's Yeah, 20.8 is his lowest. I mean, $5,700. You'll take that. No Marvin Harrison Jr. again. Does it flash in the pan? The Michael Wilson McBride crazy game again? I don't know 100%, but I certainly think that there's a possibility for it. Middle of the road matchup. And you mentioned Tyler Shuck, but you were going elsewhere at the bottom of the barrel. I entertained Shuck last week. He got 19 points.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're losing, he's going to be throwing. He can get it done. I don't know. $4,600 is pretty cheap for a guy that's going to theoretically get you 18 points, 20.
Yeah, Kamara's missing the game. Am I right?
Yes, I believe you're right. And I don't know.
Got back out of the Caribbean. I had no internet access. I could text a little bit here and there, but couldn't look up anything. So I'm trying to catch up on everything. Yeah, I think he's a good play. I like him a lot. He made my article as the value pick. And between him and Tyrod, I think you can save a lot of money if you want to go low. Anybody else you want to talk about, Trevor?
No, not really. Brissett, he's been in the millie maker for the last 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, another thing that I like about Trevor Lawrence is when they added Jacoby Myers. I mean, he really helps them out, especially, and Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't been playing that well, obviously, but with Jacoby Myers, it just gives him another piece of a weapon. And the culture a team he can throw on. Shuck, I don't know. I probably won't be playing much of him, but I can understand it. He's cheap. You can afford other guys on your lineup. I tried that Saints quarterback against the Buccaneers earlier in the year. We came to who was the quarterback then? I forget. But he stunk it up, and the Tampa manhandled the Saints offensive line in that first matchup. So I'm worried that they're going to manhandle them in this one too.
Always possible. Well, let's move on to the running back. Devon Achane is probably the next guy that could get you close to 40 points. Great matchup. Been getting the ball a ton on the ground. It's been shocking to me. He's had 3 straight weeks at 125 yards a game average for the last 3 weeks on the ground. He's caught 3 balls. Why are they not throwing him the ball, Trevor? I know you watch all these games with a fine-tooth comb. Tell me, why do they quit throwing the ball?
Well, they've been winning. They were ahead. It seemed like they were ahead comfortably last week against New Orleans, and they let New Orleans come back in and almost tie that game. So when they're ahead, they don't seem to pass the ball as much to the running backs. And Miami won 4 or 5 straight games now.
Mm-hmm.
Something like
they're
that.
Looking good.
Yeah, when they're playing from behind, it's a little bit different of a game, and they'll throw more to the Chan, but they won't seem to throw. They just hand it off to him. So yeah, he's had good weeks, but he hasn't had that big week,
And I've been hoping it's going to be this week because $8,800. I mean, what do you need for that, Justin? I mean, you don't need the 4X when you're at the top end guys, but you definitely need like 2.5 without being a complete and utter bust. 3.5 is what you really want. I mean, you need 32 points out of this guy really to make it worth almost $9,000.
Yeah, I mean, if he don't get you 18 to 22, you're going to be really upset. If he does that, you're going to be okay. But you are hoping for high 20s at least. I agree with what Trevor said. The good news is he can get it done on the ground if you give him 18, 20 touches or rushing attempts, I should say. And he also could do it if you throw him the ball. So if there's any bit of competitiveness in this game, you will be closer towards the ceiling game, which I think he had 43 4 weeks ago against Buffalo. But that's because he had to be heavily involved. But, as a 4 guy with the ceiling, it's not going to be like in Jigba where the defense scores 3 times and then they don't need it. So there's more safety there with the threat of scoring 30 plus 40 even.
Yeah, but can the Jets put any kind of score up on them? That's the real question. They are better with Tyrod. We'll see what happens.
You had mentioned you'd like Tyrod Taylor. If you're playing Tyrod Taylor, then I would come back with a Chan for sure.
Yeah. Nope, I like Taylor. I do, to save you some money there. Bijan, I mean, do we really have to talk about him? He's an absolute stud. He can get it done any week. You need 30 out of him, just like Achane at 8,500. James Cook, the only problem with James Cook is if Josh Allen runs everything in closer to the 10-yard line, which they do a lot, right? If they're within 5 yards, it's a Josh Allen. It's got to be 10 yards or out to get Cook usually involved. He rates really well in all of my models. There's no argument with me there. The other model darlings, which I'm happy to see on your sheet here, are both Ashton Genty and RJ Harvey. I think they're in good spots. They can save you money from the top up there. I'm going to play a lot of Harvey. I think that's a great matchup for him. $5,700 for a guy who's projected to be a top 7 scoring play on the week is solid for me. Trevor, what do you think?
Yeah, the thing about James Cook is he's in a smash spot. He's my favorite. He's my favorite play out of the slate. So I'll probably
cross out James.
Just give him the jinx, but he's minus 210 to score. So they're predicting that he's going to score a touchdown in this game. He scored a touchdown. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to score 20-plus points. And unless he does a Jalen Warren that I had a couple of weeks ago who gets hurt in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But, Genty, I don't know what I think about Genty in this game. I know he did pretty well against the Commanders or against the Broncos last time. Things went good for him early in the game, and then it just kind of snowballed. RJ Harvey's in a great spot as well. I'm surprised that Chase Brown isn't on the list because he's he'll run and he'll catch passes, and that's about it,
And I think maybe in the pre-show, Justin, you alluded to somebody who wasn't on the sheet that we probably call out. My first thought was Chase Brown because you beat Buffalo by absolutely running it at him. So what's the deal with Chase Brown, bro? No love for Chase Brown?
Yeah, so, he's definitely been getting more involved lately with the passing game and running well. He's not even on the bubble. And I think that's due to the projection I have for him being somewhere just shy of 15 points versus where his price is. He's losing ground there when it comes to his price rank versus his projection rank. I know it's a great matchup. Burrow being back, it's hard. I can't really put my finger on whether I think that helps him or not. Obviously, earlier in the year, when Burrow played the first few weeks, it was not in his favor. He did have 18 points, Chase Brown, that is, last week.
Mm-hmm.
The data is the data. It's a good matchup, but just the projection and the way that the game's going to go, being almost a touchdown dog, he's not even close for me. $6,700 isn't cheap either.
Well, I'll tell you, the simulations over at DFS Hero, which, by the way, go over there and use the promo code DOT, get 20% off, my favorite simulating site on the entire interwebs. They have got Chase Brown as the 14th most optimal running back and the 12th highest scoring running back. And that's just not enough for $6,700, guys.
Right. If they're projecting 15 points, that's, I'm projecting them at 20 plus, but maybe I'm off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Who knows? They tend to be smart sometimes. They run the data. That's why I like it.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm with DFS Hero, for them to lead me astray in a lot of ways. And if you guys both agree, it's going to probably sway me away from them a little bit. But
it's not going to sway me completely away. I'm going to probably play a 3 or a 5 max along with the single entry, and that's just too juicy of a defense to go up against to completely rule them out. But I understand if we're playing one lineup, why we can walk away. And I think it's more price related than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I like those guys a lot. Suspiciously missing for like the first time this year, Justin, is Breece Hall. He's on your list every freaking week.
Yeah, he is one of those on the bubble guys. It's a fairly good matchup. Watching last week, he didn't really get as involved as I wanted him to. Only 2 targets. I understand they won by a touchdown. By a field goal, but I certainly thought he had a little more passing game coming his way, but he was mediocrely. Like you said, the Jets have been getting better. I like Breece Hall and his archetype of player, but he just was on the bubble this week. Better off than Chase Brown was, but still not enough to make the sheet.
All right. Well, let's talk about a couple more before we walk off of here. Some people that popped up on my notes here. Josh Jacobs pop up. I failed to mention for the QBs that my tipsy pick of the week in the article at QB was Mr. Love. I think that the Chicago Green Bay game is a sneaky shootout. The ownership seemed pretty depressed across the board for almost all those players, except for Luther Burden, which we'll get to momentarily. But Josh Jacobs, he's always a threat to score too. He's one of DFS heroes. I guess I don't know what you call them. They put a little star next to him name. One of their preferred plays of the week, I guess, is what you might call that. I'm curious where Josh Jacobs was. I was really surprised to see Josh Jacobs not on this list at 6,800.
Yep. So Chase Brown was not the person I thought y'all would give me flack for not being on the list. It was Josh Jacobs. Because I seen him everywhere being mentioned as a good play. And I'm not saying he's not a good play. A top 10 matchup, almost a touchdown favorite. But I guess you'd call it on the bubble. He's a few people down that didn't make this list. But yeah, I've seen everybody talking about him, and I definitely thought that was going to be the guy that you all were like, where is he at? Why isn't he here? I'm actually, the way money fell in my first look lineups, I played him, even though he's not on the sheet, which I never do. I'm not sure it's going to stay that way, but I don't disagree that it was a little puzzling.
Yeah, and then one more play, I think, maybe two more here. One more play I like a lot, Trevor, is Derrick Henry. I think he's heating up a little bit as the season goes along. I think that's another game that could get a little out of hand. I see you kind of shaking your head. That's a no-no for you.
Well, I'm just still pissed off over last week when I had Derrick Henry in a freaking Thanksgiving Day line, and he scores a 24-yard touchdown in the first quarter or somewhere in there, and they hardly give him the ball afterwards. And so I trust the Baltimore offense. I think they stink. He definitely can be in play, but if I'm going to pay that, I'm going to just take one of these guys off the sheet. As far as Josh Jacobs goes, if you're a FanDuel, I like him more in FanDuel because I think he's going to score a touchdown. I just don't know if the yards are going to be there.
Sure,
and
I can agree with that.
FanDuel is more touchdown based for running backs, and as much as the catching, I kind of like him there more. But I like this list. Other than Brown and you like Jacobs, I don't really see. I thought I was going to be on Hall earlier in the week, and then I don't know if that. I just don't trust the Jets' offense, and Miami's been playing a lot better.
Yeah, and they're in New York. Sometimes these late season divisional games tend to be slow burns.
I have one question. How far was Judkins off your list? Doc had mentioned Judkins, that he was high on Judkins this week.
Mm-hmm.
I was starting to come around a little bit to Judkins, but
Sims like him, and I like to play anyone against Tennessee. So
Yeah, he's 10. He was one back from Jacobs.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. If you've got money laying around, which I never do in these lineups, I mean, you can never go wrong with Jonathan Taylor. I think that's also a great matchup for him. But at 9,300, guys, you need like 40. You need 40 out of them because you're going to have to play two scrubs that are going to get you 8. So it's just not worth the squeeze for me. And then, of course, I think in a pretty good matchup in a game that might get out of hand, you got Kyron Williams, but with the emergence of the usage of Corum, it's hard to trust him. And he was injured all week and just got cleared of his injury tag. So let's move on to wide receiver here. We had mentioned the guys in Jacksonville. One of our listeners here, Incredible 24, said he thinks that BTJ, nobody wants to miss his spike week, but he continues to do nothing. We've been talking about him all year. In preseason, in the first couple weeks, Trevor, you said that he was pulling up from every route because Trevor Lawrence was throwing hospital balls.
But he still should be a lot better. Even on good routes, he was dropping a lot of passes. I mean, even when there was nobody coming to wreck him, he was dropping balls. So I don't know what's wrong with him. I know he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. He was a lot better with Mac Jones last year. I'm kind of ticked because this is the worst year I've had in seasonal DFS, or seasonal leagues, not seasonal DFS, but in seasonal leagues because I had a lot of Brian Thomas Jr., but I made up for it in DFS.
Yeah, you know what, Justin? We'll talk about Mac Jones because you and I are both Niners fans, and I've been on record saying I like Mac Jones more in our offense. I think Purdy and him are very similar. I think they have a very similar skill set, and I'll tell you what the difference is, and I think Brian Thomas Jr. is learning this, right? Purdy sails when he misses. Mac Jones spikes it into the ground when he misses. I'll take a guy that throws too low over a guy who lets it sail any day of the week. And I think that's the difference between those two guys.
Yeah, you can see what sailing the ball does week before last.
Yep.
Pick after pick after pick, and I was worried about that going into last week, and getting off topic, but fortunately it wasn't the case, and he was reining it in. But I certainly agree with your take that being the difference in the two, and Jacksonville's receiving core. I had a lot of hope for Jacksonville early. I thought Trevor Lawrence, after his injury last year, was going to come in and do well. We had Travis Hunter coming to the offense, Brian Thomas Jr. having a great year last year, and it kind of went downhill fast the first 5-6 weeks. And I think it's been slowly climbing back, though. Jacoby Myers obviously helps, but I think it was even trending upward prior to him joining the team.
Love it. All right, we got a new sub, guys. Thanks, Incredible24. We appreciate you, Eddie. You're welcome anytime. I appreciate the sub to the channel. Also, think about joining us over at drroto.com. You can ask all the questions you want in our Discord. I'm there 24/7, aren't I, Trevor? Except for when I go on.
You sure are. I always forget about Discord in a way, but I got to learn to look at it a little bit more.
That's because I got it on lockdown.
I'm so busy watching games and doing stuff. It's
I like it. All right, Eddie, we'll get to your Kincaid question when we get to the tight ends, but let's get into these wide receivers. JSN, all right, look, he's had 3 bad games. 2 of them were 18 and 20 points, and then we had last week where they just didn't have to use him to beat up Minnesota, but he's always in play. Again, we're in these $9,000 range, Justin. We need 30-plus points out of him for $9,000. Can he do it this week?
Yes, he can do it. Similar matchup, super good. Similar scenario, not quite. I think it was, almost 2 touchdown favorites last week. Only 1 this week. I definitely thought last week, okay, they're going to beat them, and they're going to beat them pretty handily. But before they get to that point, Njigba's going to call a couple of bombs and at least 1 touchdown, and going to have 120 yards and a touchdown at a minimum with 5+ catches. And the defense kind of did it for him. And the points for Vegas that Vegas had for him, team total and game total wise, didn't come from the offense. And, it stunk for me. But that was last week. This week, I don't think it'll be quite that easy. I mean, Atlanta's not Minnesota. So I definitely think he gets right here.
No, I can see that. So my only concern here, Trevor, and let me know if you're thinking the same thing, is this is another game where if we might need to get it done early with him, because this Seattle defense, even though it's going to be in Atlanta, not Seattle, Kirk Cousins can't move. He can't move at all, and they're just going to absolutely come after him. And they could stop the passing game altogether for Atlanta, and they could slow this game down. They could make him rely on Bijan. They could knock Cousins out of this game, and then who's Atlanta got left to throw the ball? Are you worried about that, or are you in on Jackson Smith at 9,000?
I'm on Jackson Smith and Jigba. Doc was talking about he 630 yards from the record. I think they're going to go out of their way to get him the football a lot early in this game. Last week, if you looked at it, I talked before we started. It wasn't, or maybe during the show. Minnesota's defense played Seattle pretty darn good, considering they're on the field for 40 minutes. They were all over Sam Darnold last week. They really were. They were in his face a ton. So he didn't have a lot of time to get it in the Jigba, and they didn't really need him. So this week, I don't think he's going to get that pressure. I think they're going to go out of their way and get the ball in the Jigba. I'm looking for 30 points.
Sure. So Puka, he's got all the talent in the world, but Devontae Adams, Justin, has been beating him in the points, beating him in the stats, and consistently 1,000 or more cheaper. Last week, I think you didn't have Adams on there again. You don't have him this time. I'm playing Adams over Puka. Tell me why I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. He was one of I literally typed his name, creating the sheet, and then I erased it, and then I put it back there just because that's what the sheet said to do. But I don't disagree. I mean, he does have all the talent in the world, but all the red zone looks, which scoring the touchdowns is super important, is going to Adams, and Puka's catching a few balls in between the red zone but the teens at $8,700 isn't going to get it done. So, as talented as he is, if we know Adams is getting the ball, you would think the defenses think Adams is getting the ball and maybe start shading his way a little bit, whereas they probably weren't earlier in the year when Puka was going off. So at any moment, I think like a switch, it could flip, but it does not happen. So you're not wrong. Adams is a great play. Puka just has the better wide receiver matchup. The volume versus touchdown equity, that's what the sheet looks for.
What we need here is Nakua to score one touchdown. If he scores one touchdown, he's probably going to outscore Adams, and this might be the week. Thing what I've been harping on is I think the Rams are going out of their way to get Matt Stafford the MVP, much like the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers throwing. What do? Throw 1 to 2 yard touchdown passes to Devontae Adams to help those stats, get those touchdowns. So that's another thing. Adams is pretty much uncoverable inside the 5. I mean, if one-on-one coverage, it's a slam dunk touchdown. So that's why I do like Devontae. But I think Puka's going to score this week, and I think he's going to go for 100 and a touchdown. So I think we're looking at 27, 28 points from him as well. I'm trying to find ways to get both he and JSN in my lineups. And unfortunately, you're not going to like this, but my GPP, is putting McCarthy behind the center.
Oh. Throw your money away, Trevor. Just look, my PayPal, buddy. You can just send it to me. I'll put it to better use for you. I promise.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, I think that the public's with you on this thought, Justin. I think you want to be on Puka before it happens, right? And the public's kind of there too. I got an estimated ownership in DFS tournaments at just over 20% for Puka. And Devontae Adams, who's been in the teens or higher recently, is sitting currently at 8.85% projected ownership.
Wow.
So you're not alone in these thoughts. But that really makes me want to play Adams even more, to be honest. But you can't go wrong with Puka, man. I mean, the guy can put up 35 points. Like Trevor says, he gets his 10 catches for 120 yards. He gets in the end zone. I mean, you get the bonus points. You get 24 points for the yardage and the bonus yardage and the catches. And then you get that one touchdown. You're at 30. And it happens real fast in that offense. Both Puka and Adams are top 6 in projected ceiling scoring this week. So if you can fit it in, a Stafford, Puka, Adams stack, could turn into some good points for you. Let's talk about the rest of this. Michael Wilson, he is the number 1 optimal wide receiver. Also the number 1 projected owned wide receiver at 31%. Because they just refuse to raise this guy's price to be a number 1 wide receiver, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might have got, I don't know if it was their fault this week. They should have, as Marvin Harrison Jr. remained out. He obviously came back and played last week. Mm-hmm. So that probably threw them off a little bit. I'm not sure the extent of Harrison's miss this go around. But yeah, I mean, he's up there for me for sure. Back to pre-Marvin Harrison Jr., Brissett looking good. Top 10 matchup. What do you know what the Vegas has the Cardinals team total as? If you don't,
it's actually not that high. It's only 18.75 points.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was a bit confused by that. In a game against the Rams, where there's probably going to be having to score, it's confusing.
Yeah, they have the Rams at 29 and the Cardinals at 19, basically.
Yeah, I feel like that's wrong.
Yeah, it feels off. Trevor, what's your thoughts here?
Well, Michael Wilson, we've seen what he does. Obviously, they priced him before knowing that Harrison was out. This is not for this show, but just for people that are playing FanDuel. Michael Wilson is a lock on FanDuel because he's at 50, just about the same price. And with 10,000 more to spend over there, he's a lock button play in FanDuel. DraftKings, I like him. I don't know if he's a lock button, but, if you're going to be paying for these other guys, you're going to have to pay in the mid-5 ranges. He's as good as any.
Mm-hmm. All right, you got the 2 guys at the bottom of your list here, Justin. You got Watson, you got Burden. Both these guys are going to be chalk. People are talking about them. That I love the Green Bay Chicago game. Everybody's talking about Buffalo Cincinnati. A lot of people talking about this. Rams Arizona game. There's Baltimore Pittsburgh's projected to be a pretty big scoring game. Indy Jacksonville could get out of hand, but I really like this Chicago game, so I like both these guys. With Roma Dunze out, Luther Burden did not get priced up appropriately at 3,800. He's going to be owned by a lot of players, but he's shown some love earlier in the year, and Doc likes him a lot. And Christian Watson has been like a steady 12 to 15 points every single week. If he gets in the end zone, you get your 20. So I like those guys a lot. I'm not going to let you get away with Colts receiver, right? You know it. I'm not going to do it, Justin. Name one.
I tried. So they're both
on the sheet, but darn it, you got to do it on the show.
Yeah, that they were back to back on the sheet. A pass funnel matchup for the receivers there. Alec Pierce, he was on the sheet last week and he did well. Pittman is the number one guy there, but kind of up and down. I don't know that Taylor's really going to be able to get it done yet again. I know that's a stark contrast to the way he was earlier in the year. I was digging, trying to find which one to put over the others, looking into the wide receiver cornerback matchup, target share, depth of target. I was looking all over the place. And if I had to pick one, the only reason I would choose it is because he's $300 cheaper and the home run threat, I guess you'd say. And that would be Alec Pierce, would be the Colts receiver that I made you play.
But what if it's Josh Downs, Trevor? What if it's Josh Downs?
Is Josh Downs even playing?
I don't know. He's in the
he was banged up, but me and Doc did first look, and we put Michael Pittman in our lineup over Pierce. But not to say that he's going to do better than Pierce. We just think he's due. And the Colts have lost a couple of games in a row. They better get Pittman back involved if they want to win. I mean, they're letting their season slip out of their hands right now. If Taylor isn't getting the job done, they've got to get Pittman involved, or all of them involved. One thing I'm going to say about Christian Watson, guys, Jaden Reed's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, is he officially playing? Because I know that they took him off the IR, but I hadn't seen.
He'll be playing.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but Reed is.
I like Christian Watson.
Yeah, Reed is the guy that needs the ball in like 10 yards and in. He's a red zone guy. He's the guy that they had been looking to when healthy. He's the reason why Josh Jacobs wasn't getting points, was because they were throwing to Reed or Kraft in the end zone. Kraft's out, Reed's out, so Jacobs has been doing better, but Watson's really turned into the alpha there, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a scout or anything, but Green Bay has a lot of good wide receivers, and obviously we haven't seen Reed on the field in a while, but I think Watson is the best talent there when it comes to short routes, deep routes, catching the ball, not dropping the ball, red zone threat. He's a bigger guy. I mean, I think he's the better receiver of what they've had recently. It's hard to think that Reed's going to come back and take 15, 18% of the targets in this week. So I do like Watson still.
I'm going to say it right now. Watson's my guy of the week. He's the guy I got to have in all my lineups because I just love this game. I just love this game, Trevor. I know you're giving me the stink eye. I get it. I understand. But, I don't think you're allowed to give the stink eye to anybody else's lock of the week for a while. So
that's true.
We got to get you.
I like Christian Watson. I mean, I was on him many weeks. When he first came out, we had him when he was at 3%, when he had 2 touchdowns against the Giants. So, I mean, I think Watson's a very good player. I just worry about this game. I don't know. This Chicago Green Bay games always seem to be scrummy.
I hear you, man. But, man, these teams are playing hard. The winner gets the division for the time being. The Lions have heated back up. But for the time being, the winner is the king of the North. I think this game could be a slugfest in the scoring sense, not the defensive sense.
I think the Packers win this game pretty easily. So
I think so too, but I think it's going to be a big scoring game, and I want the Packers side. I'm going to play some Love. I'm going to play some Watson. I'm going to play some Jacobs. I'm going to play some. I'm going to play some Green Bay D. Probably not, but maybe. Who knows?
I like their D.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about anybody that's missing here. I'm flipping through my list here. Hey, your Sims, they love Justin Jefferson. They love Justin Jefferson, Trevor. I don't know. I don't know. I can't do it. I mean, it's better.
100 and a touchdown, baby. 100 and a touchdown.
Woo, I don't know. 100 and a touchdown, Justin, for Jetta?
No, it's not happening.
Washington blows.
6,900.
What does the quarterback play in Minnesota, buddy? I don't know.
Do you know McCarthy's had 16 or more points in 3 of his 6 games he's played?
Yeah, it was all in garbage time. And don't get me wrong.
They beat the Lions.
Minnesota's defensive front beat the Lions. I was in that game. I was watching it live. I was there.
He threw 2 touchdowns and ran for 1 in.
Yeah.
Not
You're not allowed
to
to talk about J.J. McCarthy. Sorry, Justin.
He's a GP.
No, it's fine.
McCarthy's strictly a GPP play. He's not what we're doing.
He's dead to this show. How dare you even bring
He's going to be in 150 of my lineups tomorrow.
All right, I crossed out James Cook already. I got to cross out J.J. McCarthy. All right. I mean, he was already crossed out, but I'm going to cross him out again.
I'm going to be mixing Addison in too. Addison, Jefferson. They're going to score 20-plus points against that crappy Washington defense.
Hey, anybody still listening, remember that Trevor plays like 900 lineups, okay? Stop.
Well, that's why I say they're GPP plays.
All right, we got a couple of guys that popped up on the list here we did talk about. Emeka Ibuka. I'm okay with that against New Orleans at 6,300. I didn't really expect him to make the sheet, but I kind of like him there. A.D. Mitchell, 4,600. He pops up on there, and he's been on the sheet a few times, Justin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one week it was Mechie, and I thought it was going to be Mitchell. Then it was Mitchell when I thought it was going to be Mechie. So hard to say, but yes, Egbuka just missed the cut, and Mitchell also does as well. I mean, $4,600. You know, they're going to be in negative gain script most likely against Miami. So no quarrel with either of those guys.
Is this the week Zay Flowers actually has a game, Trevor?
I don't know. That's what all I can say is I don't know. I mean, you think he can, you think he can't. I don't know.
I mean, Vegas says that Baltimore is going to score 24 points, Justin. That's pretty high.
Yeah, based off of all of my statistics and numbers, I was actually going to mention him before we moved on. Zay Flowers, that is. Not only is it a great matchup for the passing game of Baltimore, but also individually against Asante Samuel, who not as young as he once was. I don't know. He's I don't know, in his 40s, I feel like. But great matchup. The number one wide receiver cornerback matchup in a great wide receiver or catching matchup in a game that Vegas likes. I definitely think that Zay Flowers could have made the sheet according to my information.
All right, I'm going to pencil him in on my printed out version. So,
What did it say about Shakir? I know he's kind of like a Flowers. 1 week he's good, 1 week he's not. I just think the middle of the field is going to be open against the Bengals, but he's probably just more of a GPP play.
Well, considering I played Shakir last week and he got 1.5 points, I did not play him in week 12 when he got 21, and I did play him in week 11 when he got 0.7. I don't even think my formulas in Excel would let him be put in there.
That's funny. So there's one more guy.
Josh Allen throws to 9,000 people a game. So
he does. He does. They'll find the water boy, put a helmet on him, and send him out there. One last comment here. Wide receivers. Before I looked at any data, when I was just sitting looking at my phone on the toilet earlier today, I popped up a lineup, and the thought came to me in DraftKings to play Tennessee's defense and a good matchup for their defense, and play Kymir DK with them, and hope you get one of those punt returns for a touchdown and double dip on that punt return touchdown and defensive touchdown. And DK, not last week. He was terrible last week, but the week before ended up at like 24 points because he got he was heavily involved in the offense for one random week. So Any thoughts on that? That's really more of a GPP play, not a single entry play. But I thought that was an interesting combination, taking the best return guy in the league this year and pairing him up with his defense in a game they may actually compete in.
I saw some metric within the last few days, and he was like third in the league with all-purpose yards or
He's
something
number one.
like that. Number one? Okay. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I mean, you got a chance to return the kicks. He's shown that he can be a decent receiver if the offense was better. He's been much higher on the sheet than he is this week, and I think most of that's because of the matchup that he has. That the team has, specifically wide receivers too, against Cleveland, I believe. Yeah. It's not a great matchup, but it is GPP. You could double dip kind of. If you catch a touchdown and run one back, that would be crazy.
Trevor, 900 lineups. Kymir DK going to make any of them?
He'll make 10.
All right. Just asking. All right, let's move on to the tight ends, guys. Of course, we're running a little long, as we always do. I wrote about this in my article today, Justin. I wrote about Trey McBride, that his price for the last 3 weeks has started making him not necessarily an automatic lock for me. And the last 2 weeks, he has not paid off what you've had to pay for him. And I think it's going to be a third week where he doesn't pay off. But it's hard not to consider him because that combination of him, Brissett, and Michael Wilson has been winning people $1 million every freaking week.
Yeah, his price is up there. 22 points last week would not kill you.
Wouldn't kill you, but it's not what you wanted.
Yeah, it's not 3x for sure. But
week before that was what, 16 and a half?
16.9, yeah. And that's definitely much lower. So I don't disagree with you. He would need to get 24 plus. But, you know, Marvin Harrison is back out again. I know Marvin Harrison didn't play in week 12, but he did play in week 13. And Trey McBride still got 22. So I do think you could give him a look. I don't know what the matchups were exactly, like number-wise, but a top 8 matchup this week, I don't believe they were as good the last few weeks. And he doesn't need a good matchup to do well, but he can hit his ceiling when he does have a good matchup. And someone is missing from the target share tree. So if you could do it.
If you're paying up for McBride and he gets you 22 to 24 points, you know, you want him to get more than that, obviously. Your 3,800 burden better be doing good, really good. You know, your cheap guys have to really perform. You can't get away with a low number from your cheap guys. So he's viable if you can find that cheap guy that goes off to put him in, because he's got the most upside on the slate.
Yeah, always. I mean, you've got the 4, right? I just ran a fresh sim over at DFS Hero because I saw the corner of my eye, the screen refreshed. And it's got the 4 top optimal plays at tight end ranked: Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Tyler Warren.
Yeah. So
you are in lockstep with the simulations today with your sheet, sir, which doesn't always happen. But tight end play has been pretty good. There's some saving salary options out there. I mean, I like Poston Loveland with a little depleted, team out there. He ranks pretty good at 3,200 on my list. If you want to try to find value in that same sense, AJ Barner has been good for basically 10 points a game. He's never going to give you 18. He's never going to give you 24, but 10, 12 points a game. He's been pretty solid at. And then kind of really good matchups. And Trevor doesn't want to hear this. Baltimore tight ends, both with really good matchups. Andrews and Likely in a good spot. Trevor, are we done giving Likely a chance, or you jumping back on it again? Because
I had him all last week. If it wasn't for that Derrick Henry and a couple other things, I had Likely a lot last week, and he had 15 points, and he fumbled at the end zone. They stripped the ball from him. I like Likely because they can split him out. He's got a lot more. Andrews is a good player, a really good player, and they gave him money, but Likely can make these big 60, 70-yard plays. Andrews can make the 20-yard plays, but Likely is a bigger, deeper threat guy at tight end. So I do like him because they don't have a lot at receiver. Outside of Flowers, what do they have? Bateman, Hopkins. So they're tight ends, and Likely's been getting more and more involved, and we've seen
3,100, Trevor, at 2% owned is nice leverage.
What's that?
$3,100 at 2% owned is nice leverage.
Yeah, exactly. So I like Likely, but he's more of a GPP play because if you look at our list here, Tyler Warren, he's good. These guys are all going to score at least 10 points. You would think at least 10. They get in the end zone, they're going to get there. Where you can see Likely get 0.
You can. Yeah. No, I like your list explicitly. I don't think I have any real notes. The only thing that's going to happen is if I fall in love with a combo that I can't get to over $4,000 at tight end, and I got to dip down. But there is options. You can play Likely. You can play, you can play Loveland. You can play Parkinson over in LA. We already said we like that game, and Parkinson can be involved. So, he's all the way down at like 3,000 again. So, there's options, but I like those 4. If you can stick with those 4, I feel like you're good for 12 to 16 minimum, and you're hoping for 20 or more if they get a touchdown. So I got no notes. I like your list.
I think if you're playing Tyrod Taylor, you like Tyrod Taylor. You mentioned the receivers, but if you're playing Tyrod Taylor and like this is more GPP, Mason Taylor slides right in. He's got a good matchup. He scored over 10 points against Miami in the first matchup, and that was with Fields at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
With Taylor, I think he can get 15 points.
Yep. If Taylor gets in the end zone, you're in money there. I like it. All right, we're at 51 minutes, fellas. Let's get this lineup slapped together. I was not prepared. I got to open up a contract. I was unprepared. I apologize.
We were just so enthralled in the plays.
We really were. All right, let's find a good one. Let's get
Chihuahua's acting up.
Oh, Sasha just wants attention.
Yeah, we've been gone all day. Me and the kid were ice fishing all day.
Love that. Somebody here in Howell was ice fishing on 2 inches of ice in the main lake here in town, and they're idiots. But hey, that's fine.
We'll go on 2 inches. Well, I'll let the big guys go first. If they don't sink, then I go. But we have 7 inches of ice here in the lake I was on today. 7 inches already.
7 inches is plenty.
Oh,
all right. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start it because there's a guy that's going to make every one of my lineups, and we're paying up for him, fellas. We're paying up for him. We're playing Devon A-Chain at $8,800. We're starting there. What a great matchup against the Jets. Again, these two are playing for the division, which is wild. They could still get in there because Buffalo keeps losing games they should win, guys. So you never know what's going to happen in the last couple of weeks. So somebody's got to keep the pressure on. I think Miami, they've been playing well, and they've been doing it, running the ball. Another 100-yard game for Devon A-Chain. If he can get 3 catches for 30 yards and an extra touchdown in there, we're looking at 30-plus points out of A-Chain. We're going to start that out. All right, Trevor, I'm going to you this time. Justin, I'm letting you relax for the first time.
Well, we're going to be spending a lot at running back, but I really think James Cook is the best play on the slate.
All right. I ain't mad at you. I mean, look, 32nd ranked defense in fantasy points. You can't go wrong stacking whatever you want against the Bengals. And I already knew if we were going with an $8,800 running back, we weren't going to get the Josh Allen. So going to James Cook instead of Allen makes sense to me. Justin.
So I'm going to save us some money in a game that you actually like. And the matchup's pretty good. Missing a star wide receiver, but I really like Luther Burden, not just this week. Obviously he hasn't really put up any big fantasy scores, but earlier in the season, he had some alpha comment about how he was going to make people pay that passed up on him if he ever got the opportunity. I think it was even like a post-game conversation with a player on the opposite team or something. And the limited opportunities he's gotten, which has been more recently, he's shown that he is willing and capable of getting it done. We need to save some money. A game that could shoot out, a decent matchup, $3,800 getting thrust. Number 2 wide receiver behind DJ Moore. So Luther Burden at wide receiver.
Yeah, if only DJ Moore hadn't signed a huge extension last year, I would be really in on Burden next year. But it seems like unless they can trade him away, DJ Moore's not going anywhere. Roma Dunze's looked fantastic in a lot of different spots. When they throw him the ball, they just sometimes don't throw him the ball. And that's what happens. I mean, we saw that with the Lions, right? They do just a bunch of weird stuff under Ben Johnson. They win games. I mean, Bears are number 1 in the NFC right now. They win games. But sometimes Ben Johnson's the smartest guy in the room and just does things you don't expect him to do. But I do expect Burden to be involved with no Roman Dunze. I absolutely love that. I'm going to go ahead and take the next pick here. I'm going to fill in our tight end. I'm going to put Kyle Pitts in there, and Kyle Pitts ranks as the number 1 most optimal in both the simulator sites that I use for tight end. We're still missing Drake London. They're going to have to do their best to keep up. They're going to have to throw the ball. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and he's going to have to dump off balls to Kyle Pitts. So I'm doing Kyle Pitts at 4,200. Let's go back to Trevor.
I'm just kind of looking over, seeing how much money we have left over. We have 5,000. We still have a quarterback to fill. We got 2 wide receiver spots.
I mean, I like Tennessee's defense. I don't know. We didn't ask Justin about his defensive rankings because we kind of ran out of time there.
Should we just lock Tennessee in for now, make that a conglomerate pick for now, or no?
Or does Justin Sheet hate him?
Justin Sheet doesn't hate him. It liked him last week too. It just feels real bad when you pick a cheap D. Don't get me wrong. That gets 3 points, and the defense that you stared at all week gets 30, but they were very expensive.
Do you know I text Doc last week on Monday and said Seattle should be in all of my lineups, and I didn't do it.
Well, me and Danger said the same thing on the show.
Yeah. I had Seattle in 90%. The only reason why I broke a little more than even was Seattle's defense, but I have them in 6 out of 9 seasonal leagues. So I had a good week in seasonal. I like Titans D at 2,900. They're not as cheap as they have been in the past because they're playing Shedeur Sanders, who I still think is going to have one of those absolute blow up games where he throws 2 pick sixes. And if we're going to play him this week, I hope it's this week.
Okay, so
the battle of the scrub QBs.
We're looking at me at wide receiver. I don't think we can afford the big guys, can we?
Not so much. Not unless we cheapen out off the list.
Yeah, Adams is not on the list. He's 1,000 cheaper than Nakua, but I kind of like Nakua a lot. I know you're going to want to play Christian Watson, aren't you?
I mean, I do. I mean, he's my favorite guy of the week. I'd even be willing to come off of Achane, save some money, go down to Harvey if we want to play stud wide receiver instead.
Well, I mean, who do you like more? Do you like Achane more, or do you like Njigba more?
I mean, I like Achane more than Njigba because I'm just worried that defense could just have a huge game and not need him.
Well, I think I'm just going to go with the safe play here and go with Michael Pittman.
All right. And I do love Achane. I mean, I absolutely love him. But if we got to knock money down and you like James Cook better, it doesn't matter to me.
It's not. No, we're okay.
We're doing all right. Justin, I feel like we're going to have to make a choice of a scrub quarterback. I think we're going to have to make a choice of a scrub quarterback. Can we scrub all the way down to Tyler Shuck? Can we do it? I don't know.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. I know that you were debating Taylor as your cheap or punt quarterback if you had to.
Sure.
But I don't know.
I mean, at this point, we only have 2 plays left, right? We need a wide receiver, we need a flex, and then we need our quarterback. So it's 5,700 for all of them. So, we can get there. We can get there. We can get there. We can put Brissett in there at 5,700. We can put Wilson in there to pair with him at 5,600, and we can put our flex in there with RJ Harvey at 5,700, and we still have $100 left. We can go right through the sheet just like that.
Yeah, let's leave the quarterback off for now and see if a pairing with the receiver that fits the sheet makes sense for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make a little pivot. Looking at the options that I have in money, it doesn't really lean me into that. I'm going to make a call, if I may. And I'm going to say put in Michael Wilson.
Yeah. I mean, I had already preloaded it just to take a look, but I'm looking at it and I preloaded with what I just said. And we're looking at Brissett, A-Chain, Cook, Burden, Pittman, Wilson, Kyle Pitts, RJ Harvey, and the Titans. And I'm not mad at it. We don't have to do that. I just put it in there to see what it looked like.
I got the Harvey at flex. Who was the quarterback it chose?
Brissett.
Okay.
To pair up with Wilson.
Yeah, let's put Shuck in just to see what fun it lets us have dollar-wise at flex.
Wow. So that frees up at flex $6,900.
Jacobs.
Which is kind of a weird place for our list in our segment.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I'm going to go back with what you just said, Brissett, which obviously I certainly like because I think Vegas has that wrong, and it pairs with Wilson. And that left us Harvey, you said at flex?
Yep.
Yeah, I really like Harvey at flex this week too. So.
Yeah. So Brissett, 3 running backs with A-Chan, Cook, and Harvey. And then Pittman, Wilson, and Burden, wide receivers. Pitts, tight end, and the Titans D.
That's what I've got at the moment.
Yeah, I like that. I think we lock that in.
Feels safe. Feels like we're going to double that up in a cash lineup. And if a few things go right.
Well, I think you were talking about Cook not getting inside the 5 carries for red zone carries, that is.
But if you do.
I mean, his long game average is probably 27, 30 yards, so he could certainly break one of those off.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Well, and I just like the fact that his odds of scoring a touchdown is minus 210. So they're really thinking he's going to score tomorrow.
And I'm going to tell you this, guys. I don't think you're going to see a lot of lineups that are going to have 2 of the 3 most expensive running backs on the field together.
Yeah.
So
a lot of them are going to have a high-priced receiver in there.
I mean, JSN, Puka, and Chase all rank so high in all the Sims and projections. You're going to see people trying to smash them in. So I kind of dig it. Let's call it a show lineup.
Do it.
Let's call the show lineup. I'm going to type it in here.
I'm putting in the $100 single entry for $100K first place.
There you do. Do it. All right. What's our cut? If that happens?
I'll fly and meet you.
Big high five.
I'll bring your family out somewhere for another vacation.
No, just fly the 2 of us up for a Vikings game.
There you go.
That's a Vikings game. You want to go through that misery?
Yes,
we want to trash McCarthy.
That city's awesome.
That city's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty cool.
I thought you wanted to throw fruit at McCarthy.
Justin will be too cold. We'll have to do the skywalks because you can walk through the whole city of Minneapolis through the skywalk.
Yeah. I can bundle up.
Hey, man, I went 2 years ago to a Monday night game there, and outside of my team getting smoked, it was awesome.
Well, have you ever been to Lambeau? I'll take you to Lambeau. Lambeau is only a few hours away from my house. We'll go to Lambeau.
But here's the deal. U.S. Bank is covered.
Yeah, I thought you wanted to bundle up.
Well, he wanted to bundle up to get there, not bundle up for the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The beer's always cold.
Right. Although, I mean, Lambeau is a iconic place I've never been to, and I'd love to go. I mean, I've been there for work when they weren't playing a football game. But
I hate to admit it, I don't like the Packers, but the first time I walked to the concourse and see the guys warming up on the field, I got goosebumps.
Well, I love it. As always, this show is all about the single entry, the lower field number, except for the one Trevor just put it in. And just making plays that make sense and don't need to stretch to explain why they pay off. High probability of scoring. That's how you win single entry. Low amount of players playing against as possible. Pay up in the highest amount that you can afford to play. Increase your chances to win as much as you can in every corner. You can find Justin over at Just DFS, which is a Discord site. You can see it all over this screen right now. If you search in your Discord bar, JUS D 2.0 up in that left corner, of the shared screen, you can find that Discord. It is free, and you may ask questions as you will. Like I said, we have been playing. This is our 6th season, or maybe 7th season, 6 maybe, of my DFS seasonal DFS league. Justin has won the last 3 in a row. It's irritating, and that's why we do this show, so I can steal all of his secrets. You can find Justin and myself, or Trevor and myself, over at drroto.com with all the rest of our great content, and of course our Discord. And members get to ask Dr. Roto himself all the questions they want for an hour and a half before the slate starts tomorrow from 10:30 to noon Eastern. So get on over there and check us out. I'm Johnny Danger. With me is Trevor and Mr. Justin. You all have a good night, and let's all win some money.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.